Welcome to Creative on Purpose Live, a show for advancing solopreneurs building a business that fits their life and not the other way around. If you're ready to make a better living by making a bigger difference, you're in the right place. I'm Scott Perry, publisher of Transcendent Solopreneurship and creator of the Purpose-Driven Prosperity Model. You can learn more about me and what we're up to here at Transcendent Solopreneurship at creativeonpurpose.com, and you can connect with free resources and the Substack publication there. Today, we are going to be talking to Arthur. Arthur, I'm thrilled to have you here with us. Arthur, please introduce yourself to our viewers. Who are you? What are you up to these days? And where can people go to learn more about you and the difference you're making?
Well, thanks for having me on. You don't know if I am making a difference, but I actually am. And my name is Arthur Samuel Joseph, and I'm the founder chairman of the Vocal Awareness Institute. And at this moment, I'm in the second half of the 61st year of my teaching. So this has been my life's work. The vision is to change the world through voice, and voice is power. And the goal is to help all those they work with to achieve their own enlightenment and enjoy their own empowerment. So go to my website, vocalawareness.com. If you want to reach me, write to support at vocalawareness.com. And if anybody does go, I'd encourage them to take a look at my TED Talk that is there, because it's an 18-minute download of really, really insightful, valuable information. Also, over the decades, I've had the privilege to teach great gazillion superstar athletes. Got 33 students in the Pro Football Hall of Fame alone. And I only mention it because one of my dear friends and students is an NBA legend named Dwyane Wade. And I mention it because Dwyane has both, of course, his Hall of Fame speech there, but I'd love people to take a look at his retirement speech from the Miami Heat from about 5 or so years ago. I mention this because the commitment in vocal awareness is never to make anyone into somebody they are not, but to help bring out what's possible. Dwyane had only been with me for about 4.5 months at the time of this recording. He comes from the south side of Chicago, fundamentally different language base. Thick, heavy voice. Often big men have these thicker voices and a different language. And when you see this, Dwyane is communicating in one of the trademarked elements of vocal awareness called visceral language. I'm a classical singer by training. I have a master's in voice. I share that because I look at music and it tells me everything to do. We don't have words. We don't have music. All we have are words. And they don't tell us anything. And most time our words aren't written. They're just extemporaneous as in this moment. But I teach us through visceral language how to make voice visual. When I just said that sentence, you actually saw the word visual underlined. And if you look again, even the V, visual, is underlined again. So Dwyane, we finished Dwyane's speech about 2 weeks before, practiced it on his laptop on a wonderful little application called Prompt Smart, so he could watch words move like a prompter moves, because his speech was on the prompter. Took me about 2.5 hours to annotate it in the prompter. We warmed up in the green room. All these great athletes, all these great artists I teach can warm up before they perform and compete. Look at the care an athlete would labor over a hamstring, the longest muscle in the body, and the total disregard we show for our larynx, the smallest, because public speakers never warm up. I train a bazillion broadcasters who don't warm up, except my students. And in fact, CBS Sports being one of my clients, they have the second and the only other broadcast training program in the industry, which I created for them a couple of years ago. The other one is one I created for the broadcast school at Full Sail University, because broadcasters don't have craft in this way. So we warm up Dwyane's voice and John in the green room, warming up his instrument, making him more resonant and stronger. But when he walked out on that court, we didn't have a dress rehearsal. There was no time. So when you watch him on this video, it's the first time you've ever read teleprompter with no dress rehearsal. First time you ever read prepared remarks. And it's an embodied performance. It's so stunning, which is why I go on about it, because if you watch it and take a look at Dwyane a year or so earlier, at an interview or something, it's a fundamentally different human being. And because I'm always teaching that voice is power, and voice is earning power. Voice is my brand. If I say to you, Scott, it's really nice to be here with you today. Thank you so much for having me. Versus, Scott, it's really nice being with you today. Thank you so much for having me. First one is bogus, but we don't know why. Didn't occur to you in the moment that I spoke too high and I spoke too fast. All you got, I was inauthentic. The second one, it didn't occur in the moment that I slowed down, my pitch was lower, and I breathed. All you got was I was more genuine. So what is our brand? How do we want to be known? ... I don't come up for air, obviously, Scott, and you nod very nicely as I just babble on incessantly, but there's so much to share and there's no frame for work for what I do. So I just wanted to drop a pebble in the water to spur some thoughts.
But yeah, fantastic. Well, I love that. I'm a big Dwyane Wade fan, so that's a nice connection. I'll have to look up the speech. One of the things I love to do with my guests is find out a little bit about how you came to be doing what you're doing. I'm guessing that 61 years ago, or maybe 9-year-old Arthur was not.
I'll be 80. I really appreciate that. I'll be 80 in January.
Very good. Well, I'm guessing 9-year-old Arthur some time ago was not dreaming of being a vocal awareness coach or performance expert. So I'm just curious, how did you come to be doing what you've been doing and doing so well and for so long?
Well, you're close, because at 4 I knew that music was my life when my mother dragged me into an accordion studio. In the 6th grade, I auditioned for choir. I couldn't sing America the Beautiful on pitch, so the teacher didn't let me in her choir. But at 12, I auditioned for choir in junior high. We had junior high back in those days. And Mrs. Grill let me in her high tone, so I knew at 12 that singing was my life. At 15, one of God's gifts to me, to whom my first book years ago was in part dedicated to Mrs. Julia Kinsel, my first singing teacher, allowed me to behave like this, Scott. I would sigh, stop, don't do it like that. I hear it this way. And she manically let me clap my hands on my ears like some crazy person, because she knew I hear something different. When I hear a voice, I hear you. It's what I call perfect pitch. I no longer can recognize B from D flat anymore without a lot of practice. But when I hear a voice, I hear you. It's an imprint. It's instantaneous. So her lack of dogma allowed me to create new form. Took a master's in voice and performed and ... And the world began beating a path to my door. The work was fully canonized, as it were, in my early 20s. Took me a while to understand what was happening, to be frank. I have 7 rituals in vocal awareness. They were there before I understood them. They just came. The 6th ritual of vocal awareness of the 7 is called pay attention, deeper listening. This deeper listening, this knowing, alerts me when it's need to pay attention to this stuff and capture it. And so now great aspects of my work are trademarked and copyrighted all over the world because they were original thought. Visceral language, empowerment through voice, vocal power, ... I own this space. And if anyone looks at my website, they'll see kind of a lot of interesting names you'll recognize in a vast variety, from chairmen of boards and the gentleman who ran for president of the United States a number of years ago to gubernatorial candidates, ... It's a panoply of what human beings do. But I've also had the privilege to teach Holocaust survivors and working with, I've taught the deaf to sing, quite literally. One young woman, exquisitely so, you would not have known she couldn't hear a lick, when I used to be a professor at the University of Southern California. So this gift is that. I teach, in my first lesson with every athlete I teach, is I say to them, you bring the talent to your sport. Some have a gift but not everyone, but they all have a talent. But someone literally teaches you every single thing you do. Without that training, your opportunity is wasted. But somebody actually taught Dwyane, it was his father initially when he was 5, to do this with his left hand on the basketball, and then to do this with his right hand on the basketball. Then 20 years later, it's far more sophisticated. But without that training, there is no career. But who teaches us to be us?
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we get all these mixed messages. You shouldn't act like that. Well, what people think. I don't say that. You sound arrogant. So if I say to you, Scott, vocal awareness is extraordinary work. It can help you change your life in moments. Now that's stupid and arrogant. But what if I said, Scott, vocal awareness is extraordinary work. It can help you change your life in moments. That's not arrogant. That's my truth. So I teach people how to embody our hubristic nature because I am teaching communication mastery. Another one, frankly, of the trademarked elements of vocal awareness. Mastery is only achieved when one integrates mind, body, spirit. Doesn't matter the discipline, the art form. And all other forms of mastery, from martial arts to sport to artists performing, one is only in mastery in their skill set. Then they leave the performance arena and they just get to hang out like you and me. But in vocal awareness, there is no off switch. I teach us how to live in this state. Decades ago, when I first began teaching Tony Robbins, I would say to Tony, Tony cannot empower people. That's arrogant. But we can help them empower themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's this work. That's your work. But this work is below sea level. It takes place before all this other stuff takes place. So if I say to you, Scott, sit up straight, sit at attention, and we hold our breath. Then if I say instead, don't do that, because that's what we do when we present. We're seeking approval. Instead, I teach us how to take this golden thread from my right or left hand and slowly and gracefully pull this golden thread, enabling us to embody ourselves as individuals of stature, feeling extraordinary as we pull it taller and taller, taller, only from the obliques, not from the neck and shoulders. Feeling this thread tether me. And the body's first impulse is to inhale. The first of the 7 rituals is to say thank you to God, or to thank you to Source, or thank you. And the body inhales. The second ritual is something called love and let go. It was my most challenging ritual. It took me decades to master it. The body's first impulse is to breathe. Why is this important? Well, Tony would refer to my 7 rituals as pattern interrupts. The trigger is breath. It helps us instantly change state. The root of the word spirit, spiritus, is to breathe. Inspire, inspirare, to breathe into. Interestingly, the Hebrew word neshama means both soul and breath. So when there is no off switch, one carries themselves in stature. One allows what I call a conscious loving breath. If I say, take a nice deep top of the morning breath. Chest rises, larynx and tongue constrict. But if I say, allow a slow, silent, conscious loving breath, it will take 5 to 7 seconds, and let me guide you through it. Just don't rush it. Neck, shoulders loose. Hearing the word allow or love, not take. And one's entire state changes, and the room is even quiet. Bless you.
Thank you.
And now breath is more consciously intertwined with everything we're doing. So I'm using the sense of empoweredness, which is also integrated into our mastery moment before we walk in a room, before an important meeting, before a podcast, before a Zoom meeting. That athlete has a prayer that artists on the stage isn't kibitzing with the stage manager before they walk out. They're in prayer, they're in ritual and focus. In theater, you probably heard the term break a leg that another actor will share with another actor. But in opera, the term is not break a leg. It's invoca de lupo. Invoca de lupo. Walking into the mouth of the wolf. Because I don't know if I'm going to hit the high note or I'm going to get gored. Sociologists have told us the greatest fear in society, Scott, for generations is hear our own voice, public speaking. That's totally bogus. The greatest fear, however, are two fears. Fear of abandonment and ownership of our power. Claiming our greatness without fear of what you think of me being me, not presenting me. That athlete is totally hubristic. They don't hope their coach or teammates approves. Ludicrous. That artist on the stage is in their art. Yes, my ego mind wants to go out there, but if I do, I'm not serving my art. So it's all about the notion of surrender, serve, soar. Surrender meaning to yield or to give back, to be in service to our calling. So in vocal awareness, I teach us how to be in service to ourselves, to our vision, and then to embody what is called your persona statement. What is that? Well, an opinion is created instantaneously, and you never get a second chance to make a first impression, as we know. But what do we do about it? So we saw a moment ago when I played that silly Scott, it's nice to be with you nonsense in that higher, faster voice. But this persona statement, the root of that word persona simply means through the sound. My voice is a brand. Everybody who tunes into you, they have a website. They spend thousands of dollars on that platform, on the color palette and the font size. But our voice is a brand and we don't even know how to reflect it. We feel we got feet of clay. So the persona statement has 4 parts. How do I believe I'm presently perceived? With an accompanying drawing. How would I ideally like to be known? With an accompanying drawing. Which raises a really important understanding. You mean I have a choice? We never knew we had one. We think this is it, man. What you see is what you get. But I'm teaching we're not a behavior. That's a behavior, but it's that who we are. So everything I'm teaching in this work is also physiologically connected. I'm smoke. Stature, we breathe, chest open, thinking source, the room is quieter, things are stiller, energetic. I've measured it, you can see it in the spectrograph. But this notion of the persona introduces this really important understanding that every single thing in life revolves only around 2 things: to choose to do something or to choose not.
Mm-hmm.
Even an abdication, I made one by walking away. But because I teach empowerment through voice, I only want that choice to empower me, not disempower me. That athlete will throw themselves under a bus for their sport. That artist to be on that stage, everything costs something. They've paid a price, some greater than others. None of us get anywhere in life unscathed. It ain't a hall pass. So I want us to claim our power. Voice is power, not big, bombastic, but integral, authentic, integrated. Integrity, integration, by the way, same root source, mean wholeness, the gestalt of who we are. No, I don't come up for air. You let me babble in your sandbox for days, then, man. And you're so patient and kind. Thank you for letting me just go on.
No, it's wonderful. There's so much goodness in what you just shared, and so many points of resonance with some of the things that we talk about in the circle community here at Transcendent Solopreneurship, and then in the broader work at Creative on Purpose. One of the things that I heard in your origin story is—
May I play with you? May I play with you?
Sure.
I don't have to.
Well, I would love to make this.
I would
This
love
one
you
point
to. I
here.
would love you to make your point, but I would love you to make it with your eyes on me.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm looking at you down here, but my camera is up here, so it's
Just come straight at me. There's a reason.
okay. Well, you
No,
mentioned
see where your eyes just went. So here we go, right here, because I want your audience to hear that the sound of Scott's voice will change when he makes eye contact. It makes
Okay.
the voice deeper and stronger, and there's a different connection here.
In your origin story, I heard the idea of vocation came up for me, that from a very early point, you were able to hear and heed the call of your life's work. Your life was speaking to you because it wanted to speak through you. And it seems like you are one of the people, I would say one of the rarer people that connects with that vocation at a fairly young age. And you've been developing this for a really long time. And of course, vocation is from the root word vocare, which means.
Well, nobody knows that but me. Now there are two of us on the planet who know that. That's really great, man.
Well, I think we have some. There's many kindred places that where our work is intersecting, and one of them is you talked a little bit about. You didn't frame it this way, but what came up for me was unique ability, helping people connect with their unique ability, their unique voice, their signature style of speaking, and to step into their ability to personify exactly who they are in a very connected, integral, and whole way. And so we often talk here at the Transcendent Solopreneurship community about playing your game. Like, you can't win a game that you don't want to play, and you definitely can't win a game if you're playing by somebody else's rules. And I'm hearing a lot of resonance with that in your work, that you are really helping people tap into what makes them authentically and uniquely and distinctly them, and helping them see and step into their ability to step into that power and to share their gifts with other people, whether it's basketball or oratory, politics, what have you. So I'd love to hear you talk a little bit more just about those ideas. Like, how do you? I definitely hear, I was a musician for 30 years.
What
so
instrument?
I know the value.
What instrument?
Oh, the guitar, steel guitar.
Oh, cool.
So and Miles Davis.
Django Reinhardt's one of my heroes.
Django Reinhardt is one of my heroes as well. In fact, that's the kind of music that I played, but I'm a big fan of Miles Davis. And I love the distinction in both of their styles. Django is very ebullient and fiery and passionate and often fast, but he can also play very slow and
how many fingers did he have on his fret hand, of course?
Two working fingers,
right?
And thumb.
Amazing.
So yeah, no, exactly. And that's, again, like, talk about someone that plays to their weaknesses. I only have two fingers. I'm going to figure out this completely new style of playing the guitar because I'm going to embrace the thing that most people would say is holding me back. Miles Davis, very similarly, became a master at employing spaciousness, punctuation, tone, timbre, pacing. And because even though he wanted to be Dizzy Gillespie, he just didn't have the power or the speed to play like that. So there's these elements that I'm hearing in what you're sharing about helping people tap into their voice, and what I have experienced as being a musician. So for the viewers, how do we see our uniqueness and then embrace it?
Insightful question. This is wonderful. By the way, did you notice when I was forcing you, and I stopped forcing, to do your best to maintain eye contact? You started paying attention to yourself in a different way. You're monitoring. You're trying to break the behavior. Because I'm always teaching we are not our behaviors. That's a habit, but it isn't who we are. So I don't care traditionally where we gather a thought. I just don't want us talking there. I only want us speaking when we're making eye contact, because there's a sense of empowerment there, and it's also scary to create this intimate relationship with another human being. The root of the word intimate means intrinsic or essential, Scott. It enables us to be who we are, and it's essential that we must be who we are. My responsibility, and you would understand this as an artist in your own right, is not to the client, not to the student, but to God and the work, the capital W work, the big work.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk about vocare, I teach people about vocation. When we hear our calling, we don't get to hang up and say, sorry, wrong number. We don't get to be the cork in our own bottle. So this notion of surrender, serve, soar, surrender meaning to yield or to give back. In the beginnings, when you were developing your calluses, that hurt, but you didn't care. You wanted to play guitar. And Django Reinhardt was illiterate. He signed his name with an X, and so Stefan could probably taught him to sign his name. But nothing deterred him. We have 7 rituals in vocal awareness. The 6th one is pay attention, deeper listening.
Mm-hmm.
I want us to learn how to listen deeply within ourselves and to honor. It's really terrifying to claim our power. This journey is not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of snake oil salesmen going on out there, and we're so hungry and thirsty. Even if it's a mirage, we're going to try to drink from it. And everybody puts a shingle on their door, and so we buy it because they got the shingle on their door. I have a client right now who's been going to people. He's shifting his career path from being a doctor to an empowerment person and writing. And he showed me some tapes from the classes he's been in, speaking classes, and because they're his teachers, he listens. But they don't know what they're doing. But their name's on the door, and he spent thousands of dollars with these people. So now he's coming in here, and we're only working in virtual at this point, and he's beginning to touch emotion he's never touched that actually brings up tears as he shares his origin story. A moment ago when I spoke about the 2 greatest fears, claiming a greatness and fear of abandonment, that's where we're all coming from. Trauma is real. Trauma is real. We've all had traumatic experiences in life. But frankly, 40 or 50% of the population or more, seriously grave trauma. And people have been telling us what to do for ages. But what you're helping people discover, what I'm helping people discover, is how to tell ourselves what to do. In January, with my birthday, I came up with a new program, a new book called A New Form of Mastery Journal, which becomes your accountability partner. I taught a woman for decades, many, many years ago, named Marcia Weeder, and her moniker was America's Dream Coach. She's retired now, lives in Europe, and lovely human being. And I did a one-day seminar for her one Friday in the Bay Area, and she had about 100 people there. Paid a good deal of money to be with her and to see me for the day. And I walked out, and the first thing I said about in America's Dream Coach's environment was, I don't believe in dreams. All the dreamer does is dream. But I said, a number of years ago in my first book, The Sound of the Soul, I created a character I call the pragmatic visionary, who doesn't only dream the dream, but works to make it a reality. And that's what you're teaching as well. So in this accountability journal, this new form of mastery journal, there's an interesting matrix called 168 hours, 7 times 24. How do we spend a week? And then we played this out for 365 days. Because for all of our growing up years, to whenever we finish high school or college, we've had a singular identity. We've been a student. We've been a daughter or a son and a worker as well, but our identity is a student. And for all of these years, we've had someone to tell us what to do. Parent, a teacher, a professor, a counselor. And so we leave school, and for the first time in our life, as we're kicked out of this educational womb, there's no one to tell us what to do. Oh my God. So we go get a job. And so somebody can tell us what to do. And I'm being simplistic, but you understand the point. And then it's 5:00 one day and we're ready to go home, and the boss comes in, can't go home, emergency, sit back down. We have no choice. But if we're trying to build our own thing, it's 5:00, I'm tired, I may put it off till the next day. So in the 168, we put it in the journal. We didn't show up for class at 10:15 when it began at 10:00. So we put it down there and we're accountable to it. And we put our persona statement in there. How do I want to be known? Did I share the persona statement? I don't think I did I? No, I didn't. Oh, it's brilliant. Persona statement. The root of the persona is an Etruscan word, fursu, P-H-E-R-S-U, literally means through the sound. One's identity is conveyed through the sound of a voice, and there ain't no warm-up time, perception, reality. So we have 4 parts. First question, how do I believe I'm presently perceived? With an accompanying drawing. Third part, how would I ideally like to be known? With an accompanying drawing. You mean I actually have a choice? I didn't know I had a choice. For as I said earlier, everything in life revolves only around 2 things: to choose to do something and choose to not to do it. It doesn't matter how scary, how difficult. All that matters is how badly I want it. One of my NFL players, when he was 6 years old, he was hit by a car. Ran out on the street to recover a ball. He was in a cast for 6 months. They weren't even sure he was going to walk again. But he had a 13-year NFL career because he wanted it really badly. So its persona statement is really important because it becomes fundamental to my brand. This is how I want to be known. And so everything goes in there, your vision statement, your goal statement with timeline. Midterms are due there. And I ain't getting any sleep the night before because they're going on with or without us. But when we are not accountable to ourselves, the day may pass me by. So as with your work, I know, because when I hear a voice, I hear who a human being is. It's an imprint. It's highly integral. And integrity and integration have the same root source. It means wholeness. So we want to be integral to ourselves. Doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. That in this notion in the arts and athletics is totally hubristic. When you are performing on stage, yes, your ego mind wants to go over there, but in your music, you're only in the work. Because if you're not, you're playing the 4th measure, but you're also anticipating the 8th measure at the same time you're playing the 4th measure. Because you're trained to think like that. And while you're in your art, all we're hearing is the art, but you're putting your finger here and you're thinking about your neck and shoulders. All of this is happening instantaneously within your performance. But the audience only sees the performance. But you were trained to think like this and to function like this. So we want to train human beings to live like this in full conscious awareness, not just consciousness, that's simplistic. Not just awareness, that's trivial. But a 360, conscious awareness, intra and interpersonally. And in your music, you're in service to your art. But out here, we're just mere mortals again. So I want us to claim our hubristic power to be us, not present us. The 7th ritual is 3 words. Be myself, capital S. It doesn't say present. And the first ritual is to say thank you to God. Or it's to say thank you. You can be an atheist and agnostic and still acknowledge a moment. And Obviously, I don't come up for air. I've been going on for days now and probably overstayed my welcome by 3 hours. But am I making sense? Am I being worth your time?
Oh no, it's completely making sense. In addition to being a performing musician for 30 years, I owned and operated and still do dabble in teaching guitar. And one of the part of the deal with new students was that music is a language, and language is how we connect and communicate and create collaborative conversation. So part of learning how to play is learning how to play for other people. And of course, the first time that you perform in public, you're very in your head about how do I look, how am I coming across, and I would my speech to a first timer or a 20 timer was don't make the song serve you, serve the song. The song is not for you. The song is for them, and you are the vessel for bringing that song to the audience. And so there's that whole idea that you were just sharing, because I loved your term educational womb, because one of the things that I think we all not fight, we all contend with in this kind of work is we're up against not only our biological and evolutionary programming, but the conditioning through institutionalized education and occupation that pulls on all those levers, like you were saying, about it's not the fear of speaking, it's the fear of abandonment and the fear of that we might actually possess more greatness than we can even comprehend. And I think that's very true. I think that we are less often fearful of failure and much more fearful that we might actually possess all the greatness that we need to achieve anything that we put our minds to. So so much of this is resonating. We are coming to the end of our time together, however, so I think we'll have
and
to
I just
find a way
realized I have to be at a client's in 20 minutes, so I just got that.
Yeah,
too.
no worries. No worries. I would love to continue this conversation another time, but I would like to conclude this session with it. Most of the folks that are here are speaking the same language that you're speaking. They are seeking to build or improve a business that is built with intention, with integrity, that is made to help them make a better living by making a bigger difference. And all they're asking is that they can do more of the work that they love and not have to do all the things that you referenced, like becoming a snake oil salesman, just to trick people into buying their thing so that they can have the pleasure of doing that thing. So for these folks that are very purpose driven, and looking not for fame and fortune, but prosperity and the gratitude of being able to do meaningful work with people they care about, what would you ask them to take away from this conversation? Or if you have a final share, thought, practice, prayer, maxim, anything that will help them do exactly what you're sharing, step into their power and you leverage their voice.
Well, I'm sorry for interrupting, but
no, not at all. Go ahead.
One of my paradigms is structure does not impinge, it liberates. Freedom without direction is chaos. Create your brand, your persona statement. Create your vision statement. Create your goal statement through Q4, through 1 year, with timeline, and be accountable to it. Because I've trained so many champions over the years, I really understand the concept. But if you look at the root of the word champion, it means dazzlingly skilled in any field. That's one of the interpretations of that word. People who align with you, people who tuned in today, are champions. They got other things to do in life, but they're choosing this. And the theme is that a champion does it differently. So don't allow yourself to stop yourself. Create real structure. Create what I call a mastery moment when you sit at the screen every day, when you walk in that door, when you sit down to write. Begins with stature, thanking source, being in service, and do not let yourself be the cork in your own bottle. do it no matter what. Thanks for today,
Really
Scott.
powerful. Yeah, very, very grateful to you. I love that closing phrase. Don't be the cork in your bottle. We're talking a lot about constraints and bottlenecks these days, so that's very appropriate. Uh, it's been an absolute pleasure, privilege, and delight, Arthur, to have this conversation with you. I hope that we can continue it another time. And just want to say to everyone out there, we appreciate you tuning into this broadcast. We hope that we have rewarded the gift of your time and attention, and that today's conversation helps you take a little more intentional action into stepping just half a shade braver into your power and the difference that you can make. You can go deeper with all of this at Creative on Purpose. Arthur, would you please just go ahead and say your website name one more time?
Vocalawareness.com. And should anyone want to reach out, they simply write support@vocalawareness.com. God bless.
Fantastic. Well,
thanks.
Very good. For those of you that are listening on social media, please go ahead and drop a comment or a question. If you're listening on YouTube or in the podcast, please give us a rating and a review. And then we hope that you take what you learned here today and go out and play your game on your terms. Arthur, thanks so much.
Happy day, my friend.